What does it mean to submit to one another? I know off the top of our head, it doesn't feel like something we want to do, right? Like, do you really want to submit to somebody else? What if they're an idiot? What if they're a moron? Do we really want to submit to them? Well, let's see what the Bible has to say. When we talk about this word in the Greek for submit, potasemi, my Greek's a little bit off. It's been a while, but potasemi is the Greek word used here, and it means to place a rank under a subject or mid to obey. It literally talks about if you have a soldier of higher rank who then steps down and does the work of somebody who's lower rank. Okay? That's what the word is all about. It's about, okay, you have this station, so you're supposed to do these things in your area, but somebody who submits steps down and does the work of somebody of a lower station. Okay? So that's what submission is. When you look at it in that light, it kind of makes you feel better, right? It kind of gives you some room for some pride. Well, I'm up here, so I'm going to do this lowly work, right? Well, let's flush it out and see what it actually says. Before we get into that, I want to talk about the example that Jesus gave us in regarding to submission. We can look at several examples of where Jesus demonstrated this for us, where he submitted when, in a logical sense, it didn't make sense. But he did it because he was submitting. One of the perfect examples of this is found in John chapter 13, verses 4-5. It says, he got up from supper, this is talking about Jesus, and laid aside his garments, and taking a towel, he girded himself. So he took a towel, wrapped it around his waist. Then he poured water into the basin and began to wash the feet of the disciples and to wipe them with the towel with which was girded. Now, we don't get how offensive this was for the disciples. Okay? We don't understand this. We're like, oh yeah, Jesus washed his feet. I've heard that story 100 times. Yeah, that's the way it was. But Jesus was the teacher. He was the rabbi. And foot washing was the job of the lowest slave. It was usually the slave who was youngest. Most often the ones who would wash the feet of your guest would be a young girl slave, right? If she was like 12 or 13 years old, she was kind of like the lowest position, and she was given the position of washing people's feet, because washing people's feet was considered to be a menial task, right? And when Jesus does it, Peter, I gotta love Peter, right? In verse 13, verse 8,